We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintroud. How you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. I hope you're good because you don't have it yet, right?
What do you mean?
Your new car.
Oh, I have it.
Oh, you already have it. Jeez,
Yeah.
You bought it it was Monday, so it goes fast. So Seth and I each got a new EV. Well, for Seth, it's not new, but it's a new vehicle for him, but it is used. For me, it is brand new. And you guys are gonna know pretty quick which car I'm getting because I think it's the first article we're discussing this week. Yeah. Oh, okay, right. Yep. So you'll know real quick, but we'll keep Seth's new car because it's a little bit. It's a more scarce vehicle. It's not as popular as it's not something you would think necessarily. I guess if we were to, I mean, you talked about it on the podcast a little bit, I think a few times, but not in details. But you pitched it as like, maybe it's a good idea. So but I think if you guys have like 3 or 4 guests, you probably wouldn't guess it. So we're going to talk about that later on the show, the last portion of the show when we take you guys' question, but we're going to remind you guys of that later on as more people trickle into the live show. But, for the second to last week of December, normally we don't have that much news to discuss, but this week is quite different. We have a lot of things to discuss and a lot of different things. So we're going to talk about full self-driving. We're going to talk about Robotaxi. We're going to talk about Tesla's patents. We're going to talk about the California of self-driving that was the ruling was released this week. Talk about Rivian's update. Last week we talked about the Rivian's Autonomy Day. They are already releasing stuff related to the Autonomy Day in consumer vehicles. We're going to talk about that and then a bunch of other things. So plenty of things to talk about. So stay on for the whole show. It's going to be interesting. And at the end, as usual, we're going to take you guys' questions. So if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we can get to it a little bit on later. So I guess I'll kill the the suspense right away. I got a new Tesla. Now, before all of you just get super mad at me, you would say, oh, you're encouraging Elon Musk and everything like that. My argument is simple. Tesla is not making any money on the car that I bought. Why I bought it is the reason is that I had a bunch of Tesla credits from last year, some of them are even older than that, for not the Tesla points credit, but the actual cash credit from Tesla that were expiring starting yesterday, actually. So I had to make a decision real quick. What do I do with that? And there was 2 things that influenced that. It was like $9,000 of that, which is basically Tesla's profit on the car. So I was like, yeah, I cannot just leave that on the table. And 2, the full self-driving. Okay, so I had full self-driving on my Model 3 2019. 2018, but model year 2019, I guess. And if I don't get a new Tesla, I let that go away and I cannot test the latest self-driving update. So basically, that's what I did. I got a new Model 3 Island 2025 in Quicksilver, white interior with full self-driving transfer and the 19-inch wheels. But the long-range dual motor, I should say. And on the 19-inch wheels, though I did get the 18-inch wheels with the winter tires. Something that I wanted to do for my performance for a while, and it's kind of a downgrade a little bit to a certain degree, but that's my logic was like it's basically the same car in terms of the performance. I don't have the suspension, a little bit more aggressive suspension, but I do gain a lot of comfort. That's honestly beyond the comfort gains, a little bit more range, obviously. Well, quite a bit more range, like 100 kilometers more range.
Oh, wow.
60 miles. So it's like it's significant because I go from the performance version, which was already shorter range, and degradation over the 7 years I had the car. So yeah, that's the thing. And I do get the new computer, and I can test out the new full self-driving, which I already tested out when it came out in a friend's car, but briefly. Now I put over 200 kilometers, 125 miles on it just the first 2 days that I got a car. And I can give you a little bit of a review here. A few caveats. It is winter here in Quebec, and it's definitely not the ideal conditions to test out full self-driving, but it works. It still works, especially on the highways and on roads that are clear of snow. It works better. It's like the snow is obviously the biggest issue in winter, and also the dirtiness of it. So like your windshield gets dirty real quick, and that's not ideal because the wiper situation is just, everyone that drove in the Northeast in the winter, like you just get a lot of smudge and things like that. That's just doesn't wipe properly, and your cameras looks through the same windshield that you have to go through. It's just maybe not as efficient as you are to detect what is a smudge rather than what is something else on the road. Still, I had my experience is mostly positive. As always, I like to frame it when it comes to full self-driving that I always said it. FSD is the most impressive level 2 driver assistance system out there by far. If it was developed and sold as such, it would be a celebrated product for the most part. I mean, it would still have naysayers. But since Tesla sold it as something that would become full self-driving and unsupervised, we have to compare it to that. And if you compare it to that, it's obviously failure. It's just not that. And then the next best thing we have to do is like see how Tesla can get there from that. And I still don't see it even after trying it. Even though in those 200 kilometers, I didn't have a critical disengagement or anything like that, so that's good. But obviously, 200 kilometers is quite nothing. It looks like Tesla is getting like 2,000 kilometers between critical disengagement right now on FSD V14, which is something to I think with a grain of salt, because when you look at the crash rate of the Robotaxi in city streets, it's it doesn't look like that. But anyway, and the 2,000 kilometers, I mean, includes highway driving without any disengagement, I would think. And for me, it was a good mix, probably mostly highway driving, but a good mix of city driving also. And while I didn't have any critical disengagement, I had plenty of actual disengagement, mostly related to the navigation. So, and this is something that actually got worse for me from V12 on hardware 3 to V14 on hardware 4. I feel like it's making just decisions regarding the navigation that makes less sense. It doesn't go into the right lane to take an exit at the right time. And I leave it chances. So my way that I approach full self-driving is that, I cannot be a problem for the road users. Like, it's not their responsibility that I'm beta testing autonomous driving features. So I don't push it to the point where I would be a hazard for anyone, or I would be even not a hazard, even just like an inconvenience for someone. So yes, I don't maybe push it as hard as some of the other beta testers that you've seen on YouTube or X. But I in this case, I did leave it a lot of chances. Like I was 100 meters away from, I needed to be on the right lane to take that exit, and it just wouldn't. So I had to take over, accelerate past a car, and then get into the right lane. So you see what I'm saying here. So something like that happened twice. Then the other thing on the highway is. And you're going to see a kind of theme here is like, coming from V12, you expect a big improvement. And to be fair, there is some improvement in the all natural. I think that the V14 drives, it feels like more like a human driving in terms of the acceleration, deceleration, the way it takes a lane, the way it makes a turn. Less robotic, let's say. So that is an improvement. But in terms of and obviously the point-to-point stuff is a big improvement, but we already discussed that quite a bit. That's probably the biggest thing that removed disengagement for owners is the point-to-point stuff, because you can actually get from parking to parking situation, and that's good. I've tried the parking situation. It works pretty well, but not better than V12 when I actually like click on the parking spot that I want, and it would do basically the same thing. Like a 3-point parking, parallel parking, it's just the same thing. So where I saw some actually rollback is on the highway, which is where I use FSD the most. I think it's where it's most useful on the highway driving, because the highway driving is not necessarily fun to do too. So that's the other thing, man. The Model 3 ILN is, even though I went from performance to non-performance dual motor, still a fun car to drive. Like, you want to drive that car. It's such a great car to drive. So you want to drive it too.
But the acceleration is not quite as.
I'm a tenth of a second difference from my Model 3. I think like my Model Performance, it's pretty close. And also I can unlock some power in it if I want to.
Right. Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. So I had kind of a different experience. I drove a Highland Model 3, and I found it kind of sluggish. It didn't feel that great as a driving car. Maybe I don't even remember. Maybe it was just like a rear wheel or something.
Yeah, it might have been, because it's pretty peppy on the dual motor. Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe they had it neutered or something for
yeah, maybe you were on Valley mode or Kids mode or something.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, so one of the things I obviously enjoy the most about Teslas is the full self-driving, and that's like kind of the one thing that made me think about sticking with a Tesla. I have a Model Y. I still have the Model Y 2020. I have the version 12 FSD, and it kind of gets me where I'm going usually. But the upgrade to version 14, the new hardware, is super tempting. But I didn't take that plunge.
Honestly, for the way that I know you use it and the way I use it, so that's where I was getting to. I'm a bit underwhelmed with the jump from V14 to V12. Like I said, the biggest one is the point-to-point stuff. But honestly, like, that's where you have to pay the most attention, point to point, right. Like when you actually like parking situation and everything. So I might as well do it. Like I know how to drive. I know I just, you can just like park and go. You also take probably better decision in the system when it comes to exactly where you want to park. If it's like a street parking situation, an actual parking situation, an underground parking situation, cannot handle it. So there's a lot that still remains to be fixed there. So for me, FSD is always more useful for long distance highway driving, and there it was quite frustrating. First off, losing the ability to change the actual speed to exactly the speed you want on the fly directly, without having just to choose between the hurry, now right. Mad Max. So they had Mad Max. So, but the way I like to drive personally in Quebec is on the highway 118 kilometers an hour, which is 18 kilometers an hour over the normal speed limit on the highways in Quebec. But that's right below where normally a cop will stop you. A cop won't stop you until you're 120 kilometers an hour, which is, I don't know, like 82 miles per hour, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's when they will normally start to stop you. So I like to put it 118, and you see on the picture on the screen here. So this is a picture that I took when I pick up the car on Sunday. And if you do a hurry now, it's 116 is going to be the max. So I'm 2 kilometers under where I usually drive. And if I put it in Mad Max mode, it will go to 124, which I don't want. So it's a little bit of a bummer there. But the bigger bummer is, and we talked about this a lot, is like when I pass someone on the left lane, I go back into the right lane as soon as it makes sense. And V12 wouldn't always do it. Sometimes it would especially do it if it has a car behind you pushing you, then it will do it. But obviously you don't want to wait for that. You want to do it beforehand. And with the latest version, it will do it like half the time, I would say. And then the rest of the time I would, press the turn signal, and it would do it for me, which is fine. With V14, there's this issue, especially I should say the exact version that I was testing earlier this week, V14.2.1.25, which I think at the time was the latest version. It will try right away to go back into the right lane. So I'm like, this is a plus, this is an improvement. Right away, pass, it tries. But I'd say that half the time, if not even a little bit more than half the time, it doesn't do it. It puts the turn signal, starts moving into the right of the left lane, and then as soon as it's about to go into the right lane, it gives up and go back in the middle. And then, so that's half the time. And then 1 out of 3 times, it would try again and actually do it, or try again and not two out of three times, not I give up on it. So I don't know what this is about, and it's not exactly. It can be dangerous, but it's not like high priority dangerous. So it's not. I don't count it as a critical disengagement, but I had to force it into the right lane quite a few times. So even though I'd say that I had probably only 2 or 3 actual disengagement, I had probably a dozen intervention where I had to force to go back into the right lane. But again, so not that bad, not critical disengagement, but still, like, we are a long way from, I think, unsupervised self-driving in the consumer vehicles, and also just not a great, an underwhelming improvement from V12 to V14 for me, at least. Just let me see if I forgot anything in the pros and cons. So I had an articles where I listed the whole pros and cons here. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I have I have a theory of like why some people are so impressed with V14. I think there's like 3 categories, though. One is like less useful. Is like everyone that's never tried FSD and they try it for the first time is impressed. I think that's fair to say. Like that's normal. But then there's the people that are expert in FSDs, like they are like literally like influencer in the Tesla community. And then every new update is like mind blowing every time. This is where I have some issues. I'm like, because like I just said, it's a bit underwhelming for me to go from V12 to V14. So like, why are you so impressed? So I think one of the reasons people are so impressed is that they forget now that Tesla is actually promising on supervised self-driving. Is just they compare it to maybe other ADS system, which again, Tesla is impressive on that front. The other one too is bad drivers, and this is something to consider because a lot of people are bad drivers. Let's be honest, humans are not great at driving, and like most thing, on average, we suck. So there's a big spectrum of drivers. There's really bad ones, great ones, and then there's a lot of stuff in between. And I guess if you are a bad driver, it's a lot easier to be impressed by FSD, because FSD, for the most part, you know, other than like being very good at staying centered in the lane and things like that, it's not a great driver. Like I just said, like you see someone putting their flasher, not turning, or putting their flasher and engaging a turn and then coming back. Like this is the things exactly that you see from bad drivers, and FSD 14 does that. So I'm concerned that it is a bad driver. But again, achieving the level of being a bad human driver for a full self-driving system is somewhat impressive. Let's be honest about that. But again, remember that the jump between that and unsupervised self-driving is quite immense. We're far from there, I think. Here I did a cool little visualization. So it was a slow morning today. So I'm like, on a slow morning, I tried to like just come up with unique article ideas, and I did a patent application from Tesla earlier this year, an article on Tesla, and I was going through the patent application, the recent one, and I saw that most of the recent patent applications are all related to AI, whether it's autonomous driving, like we just discussed, or AI hardware, like silicon, things like that. So I'm like, I thought maybe if I do a deep search on all the patents and I find a way to classify them in a certain way, which now you can do fairly easily with AI, I thought maybe I could see an actual trend of Tesla's evolution from a car automaker, well, it still is a car automaker, to an AI company, just like Elon claims. And you know what? This actually works out. It's true. So I came up with this thing here. So this is Tesla's patent application broken down in 4 categories: automotive, batteries and energy, manufacturing/industrial, and AI hardware and software over the last 10 years. So over 4,000 patents application in there. And you can see 2 peaks. You can see 2018, there's 1 peak, and that peak is due to manufacturing. So if you remember, said that's the production hell time where Tesla was having a lot of issues, and they were investing heavily in finding new ways to manufacture things. And you can see the exact time that happened around 2018. After that, a big slump, so a lot of slowdown in Tesla R&D, which also matched the time where Tesla focused on being profitable. So a lot more money was spent on cost cutting and all that until 2021. Then 2022, there was another peak in Tesla patent application, but this time is due to AI hardware and software. I produced a second chart here to give you a better idea of the last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, and you can see the exact split for those years, which is now majority AI hardware and software for the patent application, confirming Tesla's transition from an automaker to an AI company. Like you can make this argument. Obviously, not on the financial level. Tesla still makes most of its money from making cars, and that is in clear decline. But at least on the R&D front, I think we can give Elon a point where, yeah, they have shifted the company. Now it's whether it's going to pay off or not. That's the question. I thought that was an interesting little view at the data here.
That is a really interesting.
I was done with Gemini, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I figure with Google, because Google has Google patents where all the patents are listed in there. Right. So you can give it you can say search the patents, and then I work with Gemini to classify them in those categories, and then they can pull up this. It's really useful.
So wait, did we do the Robotaxi crash?
No, we're doing it. We skipped that. You're right. So this is from mostly last weekend. So last weekend, right after the podcast, Elon announced that, well, first a car was spotted with the Robotaxi effigy on it that said that then there was no one in the driver's seat or the passenger's front seat. So it was the first time that there was a vehicle that didn't have anyone in either of those seats in Austin. Other than the one time that they delivered a car to customers, but that I think everyone agrees by now that was just a marketing stunt, because if that was a real thing, then they would have kept doing it, and they haven't in like 6 months. Yeah, so in terms of the Robotaxi, that was spotted, and then Elon confirmed that they were testing it. And then 2 days later, NHTSA updates their autonomous crash reporting, and Tesla reports another Robotaxi crash, bringing the total to 8 Robotaxi crashes now since June. Well, actually July, because it was late June that they started operation. So it confirms that these Robotaxis are still crashing despite having, during all this time, supervisors inside the car, and yet Elon now wants to remove the supervisor without even having proven a safer crash rate with a supervisor. It's I'm dumbfounded by it, really, because based on my data, and I can for sure I can say that Tesla's crash rate, as of the last crash, was around 40,000 miles between crashes with the supervisor, which is about 10 times more often than a human crash. Again, with a supervisor, which I assume has prevented some crashes. Now we have added another crash to it, but it's getting harder and harder to figure out the actual mileage rate because, well, Tesla has not said anything since the 250,000 miles mark, and people assume that since Tesla added a few cars, the rate is going up. But I'm looking at something here. There's someone that has a tracker for the Robotaxi in, I forget his name. I think it's Ethan. I don't have it linked here. I need to. I'm working on a report on this. I just don't want to change page because I'm having issues with this page. But Ethan has put a tracker where he pings the Tesla Robotaxi app in different locations to know if it's available or not, and it is often completely unavailable. And Tesla's excuse is it's because it's because of a high demand. It's just that all the cars are taken care of, but there's zero proof of that. And the app suggests more that Tesla just doesn't have any cars available, period, for times where it's supposed to have them. So even though we confirmed that Tesla had 31 cars, different plates of cars in the Robotaxi fleet in Austin, there's no evidence that those 31 are, always in operation. I think the bottleneck at this point is the driver, literally. So Tesla has few drivers, and they cannot operate these vehicles. So the mileage rate might actually be going down rather than up, even with more cars. And the argument here is Tesla obviously believes that he doesn't even need the drivers, so he just can keep adding cars, and then but not the drivers or the safety supervisors, and the cars will become more useful like that. But again, serious concerns here due to the crash rate.
Yeah, you would imagine that if they're actually in service, then they're not driving and then driving immediately after. They have to. There's got to be some time between drives where they pick people up. So you would imagine that that service would see those cars. So it's interesting that it doesn't.
Yeah, no, and you can see like the different areas too. Like Austin is not that big. Like it's not a
Right.
giant city like that. And you can see depending on every area, like where it's like completely blank and it makes no sense. So you're telling me that you have 31 cars and they are all in the same spot, all serving customer in the same spot? Nah, it's not that. It's just there's not that many cars in operation and they are just in that spot. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. All right, still on the FSD stuff. One last one before we move on from Tesla here is the California DMV case that we discussed a few times before, where the DMV was accusing Tesla of misleading the customers with deceptive marketing, mainly due to the names of the system, Autopilot and Full Self-Driving, but also on some other marketing materials on their website and social media. And yeah, there was a big back and forth. We talked about it before. There was the guy that wrote the guideline for the AE and on the SEA, the Engineer Association, and Tesla, on the other hand, brought some linguists to try to talk to you about the origin of the word autopilot and self-driving and all that. It was a mess, and the DMV made a much better case than Tesla. And the DMV was seeking to suspend Tesla's manufacturer license in California over these concerns, and it was granted. Though there is the Tesla has a lot of leeway here, so Tesla has 60 days to comply. So they can, instead of having their manufacturer license suspended, they can just change the name of their system, which would be interesting. So they have 60 days to do that, or 90 days to appeal. So they can appeal the case. So this is probably not something we'll see resolved for another few quarters. Would be interesting to see if Tesla bends the knee and actually change the name, or if they do it, are they only doing it in California? Or I guess they probably can just more explicitly add supervise inside the name full self-driving, like supervise full self-driving. I don't know. It's a bit dumb of a name when you have supervised to that, because it's full self-driving, but supervised. So no, it's one or the other.
Right. It's a little bit of an oxymoron.
Exactly. All right. Rivian came out with their new update 2025.46. And it brings a lot of things like the digital key for Apple and Android user. But the biggest one is undoubtedly the hands-free driving on now 3.5 million miles. So a lot of, they went from 135 miles in US and Canada to now 3.5 million miles. So it's a lot more roads. And it's, it's similar to Super Cruise now, the level 2 system from GM. So you're able to set your destination and it's going to drive towards there, keep you in the lane and adjust to traffic. It doesn't handle intersection, so don't expect it to stop at stop signs or traffic lights. It's a bit like the original enhanced autopilot, where if you were behind a car at the light, it will stop and then start again. But it's not it's not what it's meant for, really. But yeah, that's the first step that was announced at the Autonomy Day last week, and now the next big step is obviously eyes off the road. That's well, I'm not. Before that, there's point to point that's coming next year. So point to point is more like Tesla FSD doing right now, which in those intersection and everything, and goes from door to door, just like V14. And then after that, it's eyes off, which is level 3, level 4 system. So there's this new digital key too that you can have in your wallet for Apple and Android user. You can have it on your watch and everything. That's cool. There's the ability to customize your instrument cluster. So that's something that people have been asking for a long time. So a lot more customizability in there. And then for the quad owners, you have the kick turn / tank turn now that's available. You can see it here on ice, which is pretty cool. Not exactly super useful, but still.
Yeah, it was funny when they did they took us out to Lake Tahoe to test the kick turn. They came up with a scenario all right, you're going up, you don't have to do turn, you can do a very sharp turn. It's cool. It's cool as heck, but not going to use it very often, I don't think.
Not the most useful, though.
No.
Am I still having issues to back here? Damn. All right. Jamie wrote this Dragon Quest article. I wasn't sure if it was he was writing it or not. Yeah, Toyota is just not on a fun roll these days. All right, another Jamie post here. Ampol, the battery swapping company, has gone bankrupt. It's the latest battery swapping company to go bankrupt. And I want to give it a little bit different context here. It's another EV battery swapping company that goes bankrupt in North America, we should say, or in the West, because I think the other one was the Israeli company, right?
Better Place.
What was the name?
Better Place.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Israeli, but I think they were in operation in North America also. Because there's a lot of people that look at this as battery swapping just doesn't work. And I think you have to add an asterisk on this, battery swapping doesn't work in the West, or doesn't work, especially in North America, and now. Because in China, it works. In China, NIO has proved it. Now CATL is on board. Now there's a bunch of other companies falling on board. They're even working on some kind of standardized battery swapping system, so that a bunch of different brands that want to tag along can, adapt their battery pack to be able to do it. So, I think there's a lot of localization context to it. There's the fact that the idea of not owning your battery pack and renting it is a lot more popular in China. But now NIO is trying to bring it to Europe, so maybe it's gonna work in Europe too. I don't know. But Ampol, it didn't work, and we had someone that sent an anonymous text on the tip line on Electrek that looked to be serious engineer at the company for a while. And the tipster described a situation of the company that was more related to the way that the cash position was managed. So the Ampol managed to get a lot of money between the company. Says it has so that is the asset, but it raised $230 million. So that's something that happens quite a bit when you raise a lot of money. We saw it with Taiga here in Quebec too, where they raised, I think, $200 million. And you raise that amount of money and you're like, I made it. I cannot fail. I cannot fail with that amount of money in the bank account, because I know I have a great product and I can just throw money at it until it works. And it doesn't work like that. You still need to be frugal. You still need to spend your money efficiently. And apparently that's not what happened there. And a lot of money was spent on prototypes that didn't make sense, not enough testing, the employees said. And even though that the concept was smart and the product itself could have worked, they think that just it was not an efficient way to spend $330 million.
Yep.
All right, a little bit more news on Ford. Last week, we talked about the situation with the battery plants with the SK joint venture being dissolved. At the time, only SK was talking, not Ford. Ford didn't want to comment on it. Ford weighed in on this week, and the Ford now has came out and said that they're writing down a $19 billion loss related to their electric vehicle programs. They are officially killing the F-150 Lightning stopping production. They had halted production before, but now they are killing it completely. And one of their two plants that they inherited from the joint venture with SK, from South Korea's SK, will be repurposed for energy storage. So Ford's going to become kind of a Tesla competitor on that front, which is somewhat interesting. But they also made it clear that they're going to invest more in EREV, so extended range EVs, and they shared some new images of their Lightning EREV that's going to come. Is there a timing on that thing? Don't remember.
I think they were saying next year, maybe 2027 model.
Yeah, that would make sense. Compete with Scout coming out.
Right. That's what's interesting. They're basically building Scout's version. It'll be interesting to see how big the battery is. Like if they make it with like a 130 kilowatt hour battery, then it's basically a Lightning with a generator in the back. But if they make it with like a 50 kilowatt hour battery, then that'll be a different story.
Yeah. And normally, because there's not that much of a difference technically between a plug-in hybrid and an ERV, but in general, when someone calls it an ERV, it's because, like you said, they make it with a bigger battery pack, and
right.
The all-electric range is an actual feature rather than an afterthought, and the range extender is more of the afterthought. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to have enough power, battery power, to power the vehicle by itself without a gas backup.
Exactly. All right, we have 3 more news items to discuss before we jump into the comment section. So if you guys have any question for us, you can put it in the comment section right now when I get to it in just a few minutes. It can be about any of the topics we discussed today, any of the other topics in the EV world you want us to discuss. And we're going to talk about Seth's new car that he just got. And you can also, roast me for buying another Tesla, whatever. All right, let's talk about the ID.Polo. So it's one of the most anticipated next-gen electric vehicle from Volkswagen. It's been teased for years. I think it was the ID.2 for a while. Now it's the ID.Polo. And they released some new image this week and the range and some spec, but not all the range. So in terms of the size, well, it's very similar to the Polo, obviously. It's a little bit longer, and the interior length. So yeah, obviously you can optimize better with the electric version. 24% larger luggage compartment than the classic Polo, so that's good. In terms of the powertrain, it's nothing crazy, but again, this is a super entry-level vehicle. So 85 kilowatts, 114 horsepower, and the base version. Then 99 kilowatt hour, 133 horsepower for the mid version, 155 kilowatt, 208 horsepower, and then a GTI version is going to launch next year at 166 kilowatt, 223 horsepower. So for the 85 and 99 kilowatt version, it will be equipped with the, embrace yourself here, 37 kilowatt hour LFP pack. So that's the big question mark here, because I don't think they released a range for that pack. They released a range, at least based on Peter's article here, on the bigger battery pack, which is going to be 52 kilowatt hour. It's going to be an NMC battery pack rather than iron phosphate. And this, they talk about a 280 miles of range, 450 kilometers on the WLTP. So we could expect the EPA to be over 200 miles on this. So that's good, not too crazy. 130 kilowatts of DC fast charging, nothing crazy either. But this is a small car, probably not too heavy, especially if it's an NMC battery pack. I think over 200 miles of range is very, very possible on the EPA, even though it's probably not going to come on the EPA, but just for reference, because people on the podcast probably know more about the EPA range and the WLTP. But we don't know the price of this, because the base price has been teased at 25,000 euros, I think. And that's $29,000 US, but that's with VAT. So it's basically a $25,000 car here that you're talking about. But I would assume that's for the base battery pack, which we don't know the range of on the 37 kilowatt hour LFP pack. I don't know about you, Seth, but 150 miles of range, I would think. 137.
Yeah, that's optimistic. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's
Yeah,
gonna be a lighter battery pack.
it's small. It's a small
It's
car.
small. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be barely over 100 miles.
Yeah, but everything else, like the interior looks sick. The exterior looks really good too. It's a little sporty hatchback. There's a lot to love about this. It's just my optimism for the program just went a little bit down based on the standard batch pack. But at the same time, I don't think that the 52 kilowatt hour pack, which makes a lot more sense, I think, is going to be that much more expensive. It's going to be probably
Right.
like a $28,000 car. I don't know. Oh yeah, we had an interesting post this week here, and about we are hearing from Bloomberg that GM's Mary Barra is starting to think about succession. She has been at the helm of the automaker for a long time now. She's 63. She's getting closer to the retirement age, even though it's not an obligation to retire. But she's apparently floating having Sterling Anderson replace her as CEO. So for those who don't remember, Sterling Anderson was an MIT guy that was hired by Tesla to lead the Model X program, and then he was the first Autopilot program manager. Wasn't the head for long. I remember him. I talked to him a few times back in the Tesla days and the aftermath, where he launched Aurora, which is now a multi-billion-dollar company and one of the leader, if not, I would say, the leader in autonomous trucking, which he left earlier this year to join GM as chief product officer. So back in the Tesla days, I remember him as being like a little bit more realistic, like a counterbalance to what Elon was saying publicly, and him was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. It's a bit nuts. Like, probably why he didn't last too long as the head of Autopilot. But yeah, he seems like a more tech-oriented person than GM would normally go for.
Yep.
Byra is an engineer, but I mean, she's been an executive like at such a high level for a long time. You kind of become a politician like at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, so I was at that GM event a couple months ago about the Escalade getting the hands or the eyes. Was it level 4? I don't know. Anyway,
No, like 2+ they called it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And Mary Barra spoke. Royce spoke, and Sterling Anderson spoke, and it was clear to me that he was just like 2 or 3 steps ahead of the kind of old guard in terms of new technology. Just much seemed like he really had his act together on that, on what was going on. Mari Barra was very like high level, like press release reading type, where he was going into like, the nuances of self-driving and stuff like that. So I think that would be a really good move for GM. I just also wonder if they are like daring enough to do that. It's probably very tempting to pick, a lifer.
Yeah, someone that's more automotive oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at Tesla and Aurora, so it's kind of it's in the automotive world for sure, but it's definitely more on the techie side of the automotive world rather than old school.
Yep.
Making metals and combustion engines. All right, the last piece of news before we jump into the comment section is about Waymo, who's reportedly seeking to raise $15 billion at a $100 billion valuation to fuel its Robotaxi expansion. Yes, it's a big deal. So prior to that, the last funding round for Waymo, which has been like spun out of Alphabet, Google, was a $5.6 billion round just over a year ago in October of 2024 at a $45 billion valuation. So over a year, they would double the valuation and triple the amount raised. So that's good news. I think I made some like quick math here. Like even worst case scenario, like if this round goes through, they could build just with this cash 100,000 autonomous vehicles, 40x the fleet, and that's with like a high cost. I think they are with their 6th gen driver, Waymo driver they call it. They have reduced the actual cost of converting the vehicles quite a bit, especially with the new Zeekr that's already built with the hardware. It's they could, it could easily be 200,000 vehicles that they built with that money, and even with that, they would have like still $5 billion left for operation, and I could see them becoming financially sustainable with 100 to 200,000 vehicles easily. It's very plausible for me. That's good news for Waymo. All right, let's jump into the comment section. But before that, let's do a reveal. Let's do a reveal set.
All right. Did anybody guess? Like, I don't know if there were any guesses in the comments, but I got a Mercedes EQS 2023. I got the 580, like kind of the decked out version with massaging chairs. The reason I got it is my Model Y is no longer making it to Vermont. It's 170 miles in the snow up a hill at the end, and it can no longer make it in one trip. So I needed something else. I need to take my dog up there. I got 2 kids. Sometimes I have more people, so having a third row was beneficial. There's not a lot of third row EVs that I love. Like, there's the Kia EV9. Yeah, Hyundai. I could have got a ID Buzz, although it sounds like those are being phased out. But I did. So Mercedes about 2.5 years ago let us have a EQS SUV for our trip in Los Angeles, and we went to Bear Mountain with that, and we had all the snowboards and stuff in the car, and it worked out really well. So I had that in the back of my mind. I'm also looking at I use this site called Auto Tempest to find the best cars around. It kind of searches like Carvana and cars.com and all the car sites, and I found for 45, or it was like 47. I talked them down to $45,000 a 2023 EQS. It's green. It's really nice color. Third row. Nice. It's got kind of all the bells and whistles. It's got massaging chairs and
let's, for people to get some context here, $45,000 brand new. If you want a brand new Mercedes EQS 580 4MATIC today, $128,000.
Right. So
the depreciation was crazy on that car. Yeah. Absolutely nuts. So I guess that's good for you, because like that depreciation has already happened. So whether now it's going to keep going, like it's a car, but it's going to be a lot slower at this point.
Right. And so it has lost some range. I think it's supposed to start out about at 280, and it's now at 256, I think.
Oh, still. And how many miles on it?
It's got like 40 something thousand miles on it. So it's not, it's been used a lot.
Yeah, for the 2 years, yeah.
It rides really well. Like, I'm super impressed by the ride. The inside is just absurd. It's got all the lighting effects and stuff that I don't need, but it's kind of cool. But it's just a really comfortable ride. It'll go like, a Tesla that has 260 miles is not going to go 260 miles. This probably gets closer to that range.
They're a little bit more conservative with their range estimates.
Right. So I think I'll have no problem making it up to Vermont and back.
You haven't done it yet. Are you going to do it this weekend?
No, I don't think I'm going to do it this weekend. It's raining, or it did rain. So it's going to be a mess up there. But yeah, I'm going to do it quite a bit. It's got a 108 kilowatt hour battery, which is pretty big, but it's not, the size of a Rivian, which is, 140 kilowatt hours, or like some of the other bigger vehicles. But it's super aerodynamic, gets pretty good efficiency for a car that big. I was looking at some sedans as well, but like I have the dog. That the SUV is going to be more comfortable for the dog. I was actually looking at the EQS sedan, EQE SUV. I was looking at the Audi GT, Porsche Taycan. A little bit more
sporty side.
Yeah, the sporty side. I obviously like would have loved to have like, I'm already kind of fighting with the technology and the EQS, just like, it's telling me like, you didn't lock your car. I'm like, okay, lock it. And there's nowhere to tell it to lock your car. So I'm like, all right, just these are very simple things that it hasn't done yet. Mercedes is not a technology company, so it's going to be a little bit of a unlearning curve for me to have to pull back all that stuff. So, but so far it's been fine, and I'm looking forward to driving it around. It is a nice car to drive.
Very comfortable.
Yep. All right. Should we jump in the comments
Yeah.
here? All right. Did Google change the chat format? Oh yeah, I saw a couple people talking about that. If you jump into the mobile version, which I don't know if you can see here, it looks a lot different than the.
No.
So try to get the.
Yeah, on YouTube we have a vertical version and a horizontal version. So choose the one that's best suited for you. But normally,
Right.
if you're on mobile, it's going to be the vertical one.
Dan Overstay was wondering if you got a Roadster 2.0. I don't.
Yeah,
think
in my
that's-
dreams sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that my divorce is finished, we can go after Tesla and get our money from. All right. Congratulations on your new Model 3. It'll be interesting to hear how your experience with the latest FSD on hardware 4. We talked about the experience.
Yeah. I guess if there's enough demand for it, so I have a setup already that I bought for like to fix a camera to the roof and do some like regular testing. So if there's enough demand for it, I'll do a regular testing on an article on Electrek and on the YouTube channel. Yeah, I'll try that.
All right. Inconvenience to other drivers, aka being a jerk, is the reason I very rarely use my FSD. Yeah, sometimes when I'm using FSD, I'm going so slow that I'll just lay on the accelerator, and then it'll kick me out of FSD sometimes. But
what's your go-to mode that you use now?
I go Mad Max. I just scroll up as far as I can. All right. 2019 V3 computer. That's what I have. If Fred were to hit me in a Tesla, I would have lawyers depose him about language like beta testing on public roads, and FSD try to kill me. No excuse when you know it's dangerous. Fred, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but because I know it's dangerous, I'm supervising it properly, which do mean that if I do get into a crash with it, yeah, for sure, I'm the one responsible. Because trust me, I'm using it responsibly. So if there is a crash with it, it's my fault.
All right.
For now, unless Tesla tells me I don't have to pay attention, that's going to be another thing.
Yeah, we're covering VW just canceling the Buzz in the USA. Will VW ever build another EV in the USA? I think they're still building the ID.4 in Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
So I have a very strong opinion on VW and the Buzz in the USA. They charge a ton of money for the Buzz. It's not that great a vehicle. What they should do is charge a reasonable amount for the money for that vehicle. I would say somewhere in the 40s. Build it in Chattanooga and get the price down, and they would sell tons of those. The fact that it's at a premium, I mean, it's an absurd amount for that car. So
yeah, I mean, there's good deals sometimes. I don't know if that's going to happen now that they're stopping production. I don't know if I think depends on how fast they can work through the inventory.
Yeah. Question: Ford is also down to a single EV, the Mustang Mach-E, built in North America. When is Ford's next new EV?
That's the nice way to put it. It's built in North America. Mexico is in North America.
That's true.
But
E-Transit's built in St. Louis.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, there's another EV. It's not a single EV. Yeah, I mean, what's the next thing? Is the next generation pickup truck still coming next year? Like, what's happening now? I'm not on day-to-day Ford, but
I think they still plan on releasing it. The T line. It sounded like it was going to be like a Maverick, electric Maverick, but maybe they're going to do all EREVs now or something.
Yeah, it's still not clear. I think we're gonna have a better idea next year, but an all electric Maverick size pickup I think would be great.
Yeah. All right. I've always thought that FSD is missing a watch me mode for tricky parking and common routes or maneuvers that differ from FSD's choices.
All modes are watch me
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah. I was going to say there is no not watch me mode.
Yeah. If there was one, it would imply that some are not, which is not the case.
Yeah. That's funny. I like a lot of room ahead of me, so I leave a lot of room ahead of anyone I'm passing. They may be maybe as safety conscious as me. That's follow up from Dan.
I do too. I do that too. And if everyone would do that on the highway too, there would be a lot less traffic.
Yeah. I maintain that FSD is an impressive party trick. By the third or fourth drive, you start getting annoyed by how poorly it makes decisions compared to a competent driver.
There it is, compared to a competent driver. Like that's the thing. Most people, they don't know how to drive. Let's just say most people, like on average, I would say like maybe like 40% of the population are like terrible driver. And then
Right.
there's
And
like 20.
I think that's part of what FSD is training on. Like it's learning how to like stay in the left lane from these awful drivers.
You remember that when like that driver, that autopilot engineer in California was like, I use FSD now and I get to work 10 minutes faster. And I'm like, I figured out where he lives in California. I figured out where he works in Palo Alto. And I'm like, if you're saving 10 minutes off your commute by using FSD, you're the worst driver in the world. Like, so if the Tesla engineers are working on autopilot are terrible drivers, if the Tesla influencers who keeps saying that it's mind blowing, the terrible drivers, like that, it's starting to all make sense. Like, yes, but at the same time, I understand everyone that yes, it is impressive that an autonomous system has reached the level of being a bad driver in itself can be impressive. Yes, but we compare everything here at what was sold to customers, which is unsupervised self-driving. And from that, we are still far away.
FSD supervised is being offered in the EU as a test drive. I've seen videos and I'm impressed. I'll test it myself in February.
Yeah, first time driving on FSD is impressive for everyone. We've said that already. That's true.
All right. What are your thoughts on the Volvo EX60?
I haven't had any experience with it personally.
Yeah, last Volvo I drove was the EX30, which I liked, but there's been some software stuff on that. The EX60 follows up on the other 60s. And it's a nice form factor. I don't think Volvo had great range on those, but pretty good cars. Question: if everyone completely gave up on self-driving, would anybody really care? It's a lot like AI infatuation, failing and flailing at replacing proven human ability. I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. I mean, we do have Waymos driving around people.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point where I think a lot of people love to drive, and for them, like the value proposition is just not quite there. But you have to look at the full spectrum of the population, and not everyone has a car. Everyone use different modes of transportation, whether it is public transit, whether it is ride-hailing services, whether it is taxis, whether it is personal cars. A lot of people cannot afford a personal car. A lot of people doesn't make sense in the city situation having a personal car. A lot of people have to rely on public transit for whatever reason. And ride-hailing is, a big part of someone's transport, or a small part, or not at all. For again, a bunch of different reasons too. Like some people just love to drive themselves also. I think you need to take all of that into account, and then you see the impact of reducing the cost of ride-hailing through autonomy. That in itself is going to have a huge impact. If you can reduce that cost by like 50%, it's changed the whole scenario. Like it's going to steal from public transit mileage. It's going to steal from consumer vehicle mileage. It's going to steal from everywhere. So the impact itself is big, skeptic. It would be big, but it's not for everyone. A lot of people like you seem to be in that camp. That wouldn't change anything for them, and I agree with that. But then you have two aspects to it. You have that aspect, the ride-hailing front, so like Waymo, Tesla Robotaxi, and then you have the consumer level autonomous vehicle, which obviously I think a lot of people can see value in that. Like, even, you have your own car that's self-driving, and you say, like, even if you like to drive, there's the idea of, like, for example, if I want to go to Toronto from Montreal, I need to drive to the airport for 55 minutes, park my car at the airport, get through the airport process, which is, like, best case scenario, an hour, then fly to Toronto, which, gate to gate is in an hour, and then handle traffic there for another hour or two. And then I'm at the destination. So it's a lot, and it's, expensive and everything. Or I can just go to sleep, drive to Toronto autonomously, and wake up there in 8 hours. It's a good value proposition. Obviously, we're not quite there yet, but yes, I think there's a lot of value in self-driving, both at the consumer vehicle level and at the ride-hailing level. Though at the ride-hailing level, it's very different. It's going to be like a race to the bottom. And honestly, I think Uber might be the biggest winner of that. I think the owner of the actual network that can, match, has already all the customers and can match them as efficiently as possible, is going to be more valuable than the actual autonomous riding system, because the autonomous riding system is like, as soon as you have one that's proven to be safer than human, it's about, offering it and making it as cheap as possible. So yeah, I think Uber is going to be the winner on that, not the one that's actually providing the service. It's going to be a big service, but it's going to be like a commoditized service. Like, Uber is going to be the electric grid, and Waymo and Tesla is going to sell power to that grid, basically.
Interesting. All right, Seth, what kind of battery degradation are you guessing you had on your Tesla? It charges to, like, it says 262 miles on the Model Y. I think originally it had like 310 miles. So that's like 83%. So I had about 17% degradation. And that's what it says. Obviously, my real world miles were, especially in the winter, going to Vermont, going up a mountain, much less. It's about 170 miles, and I can't do it anymore. Can't even make it.
Did you do a battery health test on the car?
I think I have, I think I have in the past. I haven't done one in a while. I mean, I still have it. So
yeah, you should do one.
Yeah. I think it's warranted to 70%.
Yep.
So I got a ways to go before I can get a new battery. I think he was meaning learn from me mode.
Oh, that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would like that a lot, especially. Yeah, one of my other issues with the V14 is, you cannot live adjust the speed on by scrolling, and it half the time it doesn't recognize properly new speeds limit signal. So you go from a 70 kilometers an hour, which I'm going to be driving at like 85 kilometers an hour, and then I hit a 90, and then I don't move because it doesn't recognize the new 90 limit. So I'm stuck at 85. I cannot scroll up. I need to either like just move to Mad Max mode, or wait until it finally wakes up that it's a 90 kilometers wrong, and there's just no knowing what's going to happen. And that's no joke. From my area, it's like right now it's like half the time like that. So I would love to tell it like, hey, look how I'm driving right now, like drive like that. That would be nice.
Yeah, and hopefully at some point one of these car manufacturers can get more ingrained into how you like to drive, because that's a big deal. Like, even passengers, like people who drive with me sometimes are like, hey, you're too aggressive, or like whatever. So it'd be nice to be able to fine tune that a little bit more. All right. Last comment from Carl. Autonomous ride hailing cannibalizing public transit is far worse for climate and decarbonizing. Deadheading increases traffic too.
That's true. That's true. There's no way around it. But I mean, it's still, if you do the autonomous ride hailing with all electric vehicle and you power those with renewable energy, it's still a net benefit. Is it better than just people using public transit? No, but I mean, then, like I said, like I've been saying, like I'm an environmentalist. I like the environment. I want to conserve the environment, but I'm convinced that it's easier to have technological solution rather than changing people's habit. And convincing people to use public transit is hard. The best way, of course, is to have great public transit. But then, to have great public transit, you need to have good government. That's another thing that's really hard to have these days. So yeah, I think to have like technological solution that works within the current framework without like government approval, even though if you go into autonomous stuff, then you go through government approval too. It's it's easier than convincing government and like, hey, have like good public transit, even though we still put efforts toward that. I think obviously that makes sense. And then Carl's had autonomous cars don't experience individual learning. If they did, the cars would become insanely unpredictable. Yes, there's that concern. I mean, it's the one step forward, two step back type of things of time. Like I said, I thought V14 would like blow my mind compared to V12. Like there was literally a full extra year of development here, where I didn't get any update on my car or any significant update. And V14 got a bunch of them. I mean, V14 has been out for 2 months, but there was V13 before that. So it was like a full year of improvement. And I'm like, it's just, we're not there yet. And I don't, like, for me, like I give Tesla like a 15% chance, no, not even 10% chance that they deliver level 4 on consumer vehicles. Even though I know Robotaxi has the same hardware and everything, it's just, I don't see it. Sorry.
Yep.
All right. That's it for us this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, whatever it is on the app you're watching. It helps the show a ton. We appreciate when you do it. It's free to do. It takes a second. If you're listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, if you can give us a 5-star rating, only if you think we deserve it, that also helps the show a ton. So we appreciate when you do it. And we'll see you same time.